So, now that you've had a chance to talk about why you think school leadership is important, we can start talking about how school leadership is actually organized. So, you'll see over to my left, there's a bit of a graphic, and below me, there's a bit of text that starts with school leadership is kind of like the writing process. So, if you look at the top, there starts with federal government mandates. This is kind of like getting a writing prompt. So, the federal government can set very broad rules for how they want education to run in the United States. And expect states to follow them. This is kind of like getting the very broad writing prompt that tells you what you're supposed to write about, but not how you're going to actually do it. From that point, the state policymakers take over, and they interpret federal mandates, and they enact more broad statewide policy. So this is kind of the equivalent of the pre-writing stage when you're writing. So you're interpreting the prompt at that point, and also creating more rules for yourself on how you're going to write your paper. From the state level, it then moves down to local policymakers and administrators. So these people are responsible for interpreting and enforcing state policies in a concrete way. So this is kind of like creating the rough draft, perhaps, of a paper, where you are getting all the ideas down, you're getting everything done, but it's not exactly in finished form. It's not fully implemented yet because, remember, these people aren't actually in your classroom. From them, it then moves down to school building administrators and leadership. And these people really do end up having the kind of final say on the implementation of the policies that have been created as part of this process. So these are the people who will tell you how you're supposed to implement educational policies within your own classroom. So that's, if you guys also notice, all the arrows are pointing down. So things that happen at higher levels of this process affect things that happen at levels lower down. So federal government mandates are going to affect state policymakers, but state policymakers usually don't affect the federal government mandates. So from this point, we'll move on to our next slide.